Living with a roommate can be murder. And that's what we're going to discover tonight with Single White Female Chat. So yes, we're going to be chatting all about 1992's Single White Female, which stars Bridget Fonda and Rachel Leigh Cook, I think it is. So let me just add our guests in. Hi. Hello. Right, let me add. Hi, David. Right, I don't know who I added in now. I always get distracted, but I'm sure I added somebody in. Did I? Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You okay?
Yes, thank you.
Good.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Happy
I love
chat
that you just
day.
said. I love that you just said Rachel Leigh Cook. That's made my weekend.
Oh, did I say the wrong? Jennifer Jason Leigh? How did I get that wrong?
I'd
Well,
love to see.
some of the words were right.
Yeah.
Oh dear, I'm just going to quit now. Hi, Emma.
I can't see anyone.
Oh,
Hello, I can't see any of you.
Can't see you.
No,
Ah, we can see
it's just
you.
like a black space at the top, and I can't see anybody else.
Oh no.
No.
Do you want to exit?
Should I come out and come back
Yeah,
in?
go on, try that. Because you've got to be able to
Okay.
see us.
That's the
Yeah.
equivalent of turn it off and on again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Turn it off and on again.
Turn it off and on. Oh, yeah, so, yeah. I stand corrected. Jennifer Jason Leigh, not Rachel Leigh Cook. I don't even know what I was thinking there. They're the same people, really.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Yes, so we're going to be chatting all about Single White Female, which I haven't seen since the 90s. So it was interesting rewatch. Let me just see if Emma's back. Let's invite Emma. Hopefully she can see us now.
I'm going to put some lipstick on because I feel a bit left out now, Shelley.
Ooh.
Oh.
Emma? Hello?
Spooky door.
Yeah.
Hello. Right, I now only can't see Shelley.
Oh, that's all right. You don't have to.
I can see you, Josh.
I've probably saved you. That's probably what the best thing, not to see me.
Oh no, I love seeing Shelley.
Oh, we'll go.
She'll
with
pop
it.
up in a minute.
Yeah, you know, I always pop up somewhere.
It's spooky because I can only hear your voice. It's like Ghost Shelley.
It's the season.
I know. I'm just like, you know, always a ghost. So yes, we're going to be chatting Single White Female, and we've got the brilliant Josh with us, the excellent Emma, and our special guest is Sharon. Yay!
Hey, Sharon.
Hello.
And Sharon's a fellow Brummie, right? You're a Brummie?
Oh, I'm a yam yam.
Yam yam, yeah.
What's a yam yam?
I'm from the Black Country, so I'm from like the West Midlands as opposed to Birmingham. So I come from a place called 𝐒𝐢𝐧𝐿𝐵, which is about 4 miles from Dudley. Although I haven't lived there for nearly 40 years, so my accent is a little softer because nobody could understand me.
Learning a new thing every day.
Yeah. See, so my Brummie accent is still there. I can't get rid of mine.
I left when I was 6. I left when I was 16. I've lived all over, so it's a little bit softer. But when I do go home, my husband's like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Because he can't follow. You do slip back in, don't you, when you go home?
Yeah, that's my excuse. I'm just like always slip back into Brummie.
I love it. I love to listen to you.
Oh, thank you. So yes, we're going to be chatting, as I've said about a million times, and I don't know why, Single White Female, which was based on a novel by John Lutz. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing that right. And written for the screen by Don Roos. I always get names wrong. And directed by Barbette Schroeder. I'm sure I've got that right.
Silly names.
And it was released in 1992, and it's like a drama, mystery, thriller. Some people say it's erotica. Yeah. But, you know.
It's a lot of nudity.
Yeah, a lot of nudity. Yeah. And it stars Bridget Fonda, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Steve Webber. And it grossed about, at the box office at the time, 46.2 million, which is quite a lot for back in the 90s. So essentially, it's about having recently split from her fiance. Boo, Sam Rawson, didn't like him. Alison Jones welcomes a new roommate, Hendra Carlson, into her flat. The young women quickly form a bond, but as Alison starts to rethink her engagement, Hendra grows a bit jealous and hostile, and Alison learns new details about her roommate's life. Hendra gets violent in her efforts to get Sam out of the picture, and Hendra turns more menacing by the minute. And Alison doesn't fully understand what she's up against, I don't think, most of the way through. So yeah, apparently since the film was released, single white female as a term is obviously now used to describe obsessive, I can't speak tonight, obsessive and manipulative female friend or romantic partner. And in popular psychology, single white female disorder or syndrome is sometimes used to describe such antisocial behaviours. So I thought it was quite interesting that it kind of maybe spawned from this film. So enough of me babbling on, but yes, lots of spoilers ahead for Single White Female. Thanks to everyone joining in. Pop some comments up and I'll try and read them out. But is Single White Female a first time watch for you, or have you got any memories of when you watched it the first time round, Josh?
I think I have seen it before, but I couldn't really remember much about what happened. So it felt like I was watching it for the first time again last night. And yeah, I loved it. It's great. It's just so of its time. 1992. What a time to be alive. So stylish. The cast, fantastic. Those two actors are brilliant. Yeah, really, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, although I thought I was watching a different actress, obviously. Oh dear. How about you, Emma? Have you seen it before?
Yeah, I have. It's ingrained on my memory, so I knew what I was going into, and I haven't seen it for years, and it's still in there. It's just iconic, and I remember I think I watched it with my bestie Jolene, who's like I've known since I was 4. We're like we're actually 2 hours apart in age, so it's even more creepy. Yeah, it's like oh. Yeah, we were like sisters, so it's like watching that was like, oh my goodness, you know, yeah. I and coming back into it, everything just went straight back into my head. The only thing I didn't remember was that Hetty was a bookseller.
Oh yeah, I saw you post that.
Oh my God, what a shock. I was like, no! Not a good bookseller, I might add.
No, just like, over there.
Yeah.
Oh dear, so we need to keep one eye on Emma. No, I forgot she can't see me. I just winked.
Friends with your friend?
Yeah, we've been friends forever. Like we don't see each other as much as we'd like, but when we do, we just sort of fall straight back into that friendship again. It's just straight like that. It's bizarre. Yeah.
Oh,
soul
that's
friends.
The best kind of
Did you
friendship.
ever
Yeah.
same hair? That's what I want to know.
No, because she went for a really like crazy poodle perm back in like the 90s, and I wasn't allowed to do that. So I had like blonde streaks and crimps, but I wasn't allowed to do the poodle perm.
Oh, I love that. I was really shocked as well because I always thought that Bridget Fonda's hair in this was real, but apparently it was a wig. And like when I read that, I was like, all these years I've been deceived. Yeah,
I did not know it was a wig.
Because I thought back in the 90s she started a bit of a fashion trend with that hair. Yeah, and to learn now it was a wig, I'm a bit like, it shooketh me.
It's quite a noticeable haircut to have off film, to like walk down the street with that haircut.
Yeah.
I think it would be quite a statement.
Yeah, definitely. How about you, Sharon? Have you seen it before?
I've got my own hair, just so we're clear.
Are you sure?
It's quite a statement.
It is
too.
Yeah, because I refuse to grow old. I was an adult when this came out, so I was 23 in 1992, and I went to the premiere of it. And
wow.
so yes, I remember it very clearly because at the time the legislation had changed how many nude scenes you could have in a film, and this tried to break the record because they're in the shower every 10 seconds, aren't they?
Yeah.
And they even had a little scorecard at the premiere where you had like a nip check, so you check off how many nips you were seeing. So so I mean, I do remember it really clearly, and I loved it. I loved it then. I think it's aged now, it's dated, but it did have a kind of a crossover from in the 80s, because I was a teenager and young woman in the 80s as well. You had a lot of slasher films, and then prior to that, you had like Hitchcock's very kind of thriller films, and this was the first horror thriller. So the first half's a thriller and the second half's a horror slasher. So it was the first time those two things had been combined together. So it was really quite unique at the time. So I do remember it really clearly, but it was fun to watch again and kind of got, and now I'm like, this is a little bit slow, isn't it? Get going. Do you know what I mean? But at the time, it was really, really quite groundbreaking, and there was a lot of films like that after that.
Because
but
there was like Hand That Rocks the Cradle, which we talked about a few months ago.
Fatal Attraction, of course, being the big one.
And
they all kind of went along that kind of same theme, but I think this was the first one that did it. Although I had forgotten that the dog died.
Oh,
yes,
I
I
had
forgot
forgotten
about that.
And I did actually stop it at that point and throw some out the telly. So I don't mind who dies violently as long as the
not
animals
even a dog,
don't.
it was a puppy.
Yeah.
It was like an innocent little puppy.
Buddy.
I know. I'd forgotten about that. I must have blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah.
But then as soon as she brought the dog into the apartment, I thought, oh, wait a second.
Not end well.
Yeah,
that dog's not surviving the rest of the film.
So I've got some really weird memories about this film. So I did see it back in the day. So in 92, when this came out, I probably would have only been 12. So I don't know how I watched it when I was like 12 or 13. Probably my good old Nan, as I always blame her. But
I was going to say Nan.
Somehow I saw this film, and what I remember from it back then is I always remember really liking Alison as a character back then. I used to think she's a powerhouse of a woman and things like that, and I loved her. But on the rewatch, I just found her a little bit irritating. But we'll get to that. In a minute.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just have these vague memories, and it's weird. There were certain scenes that I remembered. I did remember most of the nudity. I remember thinking there's a lot of nudity in this, which must have been ingrained on my brain from when I was younger. But I just remember really, really loving it at the time. So yeah, I enjoyed the rewatch. It was really good revisiting it. So I can't wait to hear more what you guys say. But yeah, so apparently the apartment building is called the 𝐼𝐡𝐢𝐭𝐞, and apparently I don't even know if I'm saying that right. On the Upper West Side of Manhattan. So apparently that was the apartment building that was used, and the interiors were shot on like a sound stage, but the scenes in the stairwells were shot at the 𝐼𝐡𝐢𝐭𝐞. And Schroeder turned like a New York apartment owned by Alison into something like a character of its own, and the way they'd use the lighting and things. So what did you think of the setting of the apartment building? Was it effective? Would you have lived there? Because it was like falling apart. Josh?
I was obsessed with that building. Every time they had a shot of the exterior, I was just like, ooh, like give me more. Just like, let's just hold on the building for a bit longer.
It's amazing.
It was beautiful, like very Rosemary's Baby style. Is it like, I don't think it was Art Deco, but it was like that arty kind of facade to it, just beautiful. And then inside, stunning. Those enormous rooms, high ceilings, massive doors.
Yeah.
Like just what you imagine when you picture sort of like quite an affluent New York apartment. Not boxy like Carrie Bradshaw, like gorgeous, beautiful. But I loved that it was kind of falling apart as well, because it was
Yeah.
I don't
Rent
know, maybe it's
controlled.
reading too much into it, but it was like this beautiful building that's completely falling apart on the inside. It felt a bit like Jennifer Jason Leigh. You know, she's built this image of herself, but she's kind of falling apart on the inside. Maybe I'm just getting too
No,
love
I
it.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Great
a
building.
good comparison. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I love the way that the light was used and how dark it was and the blue tones and things like that. I thought it was really effective. How about you, Emma?
Yeah, I agree with Josh. I love that. I'm a fan of the surroundings being like a character themselves, and I liked the fact that they played with the shadows and the light, and there was all this decorative, like build it like around the windows was all decorative. So the shadow made patterns on the walls, and it was just so really creepy. And it's beautiful, but it was creepy at the same time. And I think yeah, that is what beauty is, isn't it? It's all like fakery and you know, it can be quite scary at the same time. So I think that played really well. And yeah, I would not live there because that basement is no.
Yeah,
No,
the
thank
basement.
you. I would be thinking that zombies were coming out of it or whatnot. I would never sleep. So no, thank you.
I think Alison does say at one point, though, the basement, we don't come down here at night, it's too creepy. I thought I wouldn't go down there in the day.
I love how that was part of the
No.
tour as well. It was like, surely you don't show them that stuff until they've moved in.
Yeah.
Yeah, show them after. Oh, how about you, Sharon? Did you like the setting?
I lived in something very similar to that in New York. So, but it's because it was rent controlled. Do you know what I mean? So the idea with rent control in New York was they had to do it so because they started, you know, building those areas up, and so they had to have certain like affordable housing, and so they just left them to decay. But the place I had a similar basement, and the
Oh.
caretaker lived down there,
Ooh.
and he was proper creepy. But really, we used to think he was a vampire, and I was in my 20s, you know. But actually, he was just a creepy bloke who liked watching the young girls clean their underwear. That was the truth of it. The laundry was down there, and yeah. So I thought the building was beautiful. And I think they missed out on a really good thing, you know, when they did the outside shots, which were fantastic, almost like haunted gothic kind of feel to it. They should have had lightning strikes. That should have been, our feel. And yeah, the lovely, lovely big corridors with the, you know, where they set the camera like, you know, as Stanley Kubrick does a lot, so that it gets that very eerie feeling of echoing kind of corridors. And yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought the building was a character in itself, and gave it that just real atmosphere.
Yeah, I definitely think it added to the atmosphere. And I love the shots of the stairwells as well, like when the shots looking down the stairwell. And there's
that was
also
beautiful. I thought that was beautiful
it was
shots.
really, really nice. And I love the fact as well that there's a scene where one of the characters, it must be Hedra. I can't, my brain's not functioning. Hedra, yeah. Hedra's like sitting, watching, looking into Alison's apartment when Sam comes back round. And I kind of like that feeling that even though you could go anywhere in that apartment building, you can always see into the other apartments. I just thought, oh,
it's
creepy. Yeah.
And here into the other apartments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Through the vents,
no net.
Yeah.
She noticed no nets. There's nets aren't a thing in America.
No.
So there's no nets. Blinds if you're lucky, but there's no nets. So everybody can see everybody.
That's because
it is.
Bridget Fonda just likes walking around naked, you see. So everyone.
I mean, in fairness, if I had a figure like that and I did in those
true.
days, I would do too.
No, definitely. Same. Yeah, I learnt a lesson once about having no net curtains up by I don't know whether I've ever mentioned this, but I used to live in it was like a Victorian house that had been converted into flats. So it did have like high ceilings, big windows, things like that. And it was like off a main road, and then opposite was like a quick fit, like a car mechanic, and above it like an Indian restaurant over this main road. So I thought, not in a million years could they see into this this window. So I used to walk around naked, everything. And then the once I went with my friend over to the Indian, and he goes, "Oh, you live over there. I see you all the time." And I was like, "Wait, what?"
Oh no!
And I just wanted the ground to open up and swallow me. And then when I got back home, he stood in the window of the Indian and kind of waved to me across the road.
You should have invoiced him, love. That's what I think.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
you should have brought him a pair of binoculars the next time you saw him.
I will never forget it to this day, honestly. And I've learned my lesson the hard way because I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my gosh, like literally stalkers walking around my flat. Yeah, and I mean, poor thing, like having to see that across the way. But anyway.
Well, he kept looking, didn't he? He obviously liked what he saw.
It's just the way when I sat down, ordered the food. He waited till I'd ordered to then tell me that,
You can't
you live
escape.
over there. So I couldn't escape, yeah. So I was mortified. Oh, my friend thought it was hilarious, but I was like, oh, no.
That's brilliant.
Oh dear. I've just remembered that when we were just talking about like windows and stuff like that, and no nets. Learnt the lesson.
No nets.
Yeah, so Bridget Fonda apparently had the choice of either playing Alison or Hedra. And she ended up choosing Alison because she thought it was the harder role to play. So do you agree that Alison was the harder role, and what role would you have played out of the two? Emma?
I do think it's the harder role. The reason I think it is I think that it's not as fun.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not an actress or anything. I don't pretend to know anything about acting, but I think if I was going to choose a role, I think I would have chosen the psycho. Absolutely, 100%. That would have been much more fun than playing it straight. You know, I think that it's a lot harder to do that. So yeah, I agree with her.
Interesting. What about you, Sharon? What do you think?
I agree. I think that she plays a typical kind of end of the 80s, 90s woman where, you know, they were told you could have everything. You could have the career, you could have the love life, you could have everything, and you can't. It's impossible. And so she actually, and she's also in at the time when computers had started to become a big thing, and she's right in there right at the beginning of it, isn't she, doing a package that actually was very advanced for that time.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks kind of pathetic to us now, but in those days it was really advanced. And she's in a man's world. So actually, she was trying to portray herself as being a strong businesswoman and also terrified. She was frightened and brave, and that's hard to play that. And Hedra is far more fun to play, isn't she? I mean, if you were an actor, you would want the Hedra role because that's fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think that Ali's role was far more difficult. But I would have played Hedra because that was just fun. That was just fun.
Oh, how about you, Josh? What do you think?
Yeah, I do agree. I think that is a really difficult role, but I do also think that what Jennifer Jason Leigh does with Hedra is really interesting, because when she comes in at the start, there's already something sort of a bit off about her, like the way she enters the building where it's just her feet walking into the apartment. That's so creepy immediately. But she doesn't play her, she doesn't try to be likable in those initial moments. She just happens to be good at waterwork. She's good at turning off the faucet, and you know, she's kind of handy to have around, and then she ingratiates herself that way, like almost accidentally. But yeah, I thought she did a really good job of navigating that sort of like descent into madness, essentially. And I think that is really tough to play. I think it's tough to play a psycho. If you watch the new Scream film, there's some really bad psycho acting.
I really enjoyed the new Scream film.
I love
and
it.
And I agree with you.
Ain't good.
Yeah, completely. Is the fact that she starts off as just wanting to isolate her from people around her, and it feels like she's just trying to keep her to herself. And so actually she plays it very, very subtle. So you don't actually realise her intent is actually death. You know, at the end, you think she's just trying to remove all the people, so she's completely dependent on her. The descent into, you know, the murder is kind of shocking in that respect, because you don't expect that. She's just trying to get people out the way, so she's just got her to herself.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'd like to play Hedra, just so that you could just like let loose and like just go a bit wild. But yeah, I could imagine that Ali's role is quite difficult to play. But I love the contrast between them as well, because even though Ali was like confident, like a confident business woman, she came across confident. Hedra was more confident than her, because like, you know, the subtle things where Ali looks away when Hedra's naked, like the masturbation scene where, you know, where Ali goes and she sees Hedra's masturbating and stuff, and it almost feels like Hedra is actually oozing more confidence than Ali in those moments. And
Ali's a bit childlike, isn't she? Innocent and childlike. Like she went into the club and freaked out, and there she is telling all the lies. You know, making up her life, stealing a life. Yeah.
But then I also as well, like, what did you guys think about this? Like the portrayal of like Hedra, kind of, because she was into like that sex club, and like she's a bookseller, she's obviously meant to be dreary.
We're all into sex clubs.
But it was almost like
the ones you got to watch.
Yeah, definitely, Emma. No, but it's almost like all these like. So have you got to be a psycho to enjoy those things? That's kind of what it came across like to me. Like all those little things. Like, what did you feel about Hedra being portrayed like that a little bit, Josh?
Yeah, the sex club thing was hilarious, because it was just such a shorthand for like, she likes going to sex clubs, so she must be weird.
So she must be weird, that's what I mean.
It's a very 90s perspective on that kind of thing. And it was such like, it looked like quite a nice sex club. It looked very, everyone
apparently it was a real one. It was a
really?
real one, yeah.
It looked consensual, didn't it? I thought they left her alone when she said no.
Yeah, it did. But
I feel like there's lots that's been read into the film's portrayal of Hedra, and sort of like the fear of queerness and all that kind of stuff. But I think you really have to dig down to find that stuff. I don't think that she's not necessarily explicitly played as a lesbian. There's like obviously a few hints here and there, but I think you can obviously read her as a queer character. But yeah, she's an interesting one.
Yeah,
I don't really know how I feel about the portrayal. Completely.
Yeah, and I think it's the way that the actress plays her as well. I keep forgetting her name. I don't know.
Rachel Leigh Cook.
Rachel Leigh Cook. What is wrong with me? Oh dear. Oh gosh. I know.
You've got the middle one, right?
Oh dear. What about you, Sharon? Did you like the way that Hedra was portrayed, and did you like Hedra? Did you feel sympathy for her at all?
I didn't feel any sympathy for her because she's a psychopath, but I did think that it was a very good portrayal of what things were like in the early 90s. I was an adult in the 90s. I'd just come out of the 80s, which was very decadent and very debauched. And the 90s had this way of trying to, you know, saying, actually, these things are wrong. You know, all those things happened in the 80s, but now we're in the 90s, a new decade, and we are, you know, we're not. It was a way of showing her as a deranged character, saying, oh, only someone deranged would go to a sex club, would masturbate when somebody was watching you.
Yeah.
Only somebody who was deranged would do that. It was setting her up as being, you know, a decadent character, like almost a throwback from the 80s, because the 80s was like that. It was very decadent.
Yeah.
And I think it was like the 90s way of showing, actually, this is not the decade we're going to do that. This is going to be a better decade, and all that stuff is bad. It's not, by the way.
No.
But I agree. I think that she came across as almost a pansexual character to me, in the fact that I didn't think she cared who she was connecting with or using or even having sexual relations with, as long as she could get something from them. I don't think, and I think she used that as a power. She had power because of that, and she was far more confident than Ali. far more confident.
Yeah, definitely. I got that
read her more as
impression.
like a narcissist, like a
Absolutely. Yeah.
pathological narcissist.
I think she's sociopathic. We say psychopath, and there's certain psychopathic elements there, but she's actually a sociopath because she doesn't really care how what she does affects other people at all. She has no empathy for anyone else apart from what she wants is her needs. And so it's her sociopathy, isn't it?
No, definitely. How about you, Emma? Did you feel any sympathy for Hedra, or did you like?
I actually did. I actually did. You know, I felt like the death of her sister really messed her up. Like seriously messed her up. And I think that she just took everything a step too far. But but I think that what you're saying about the 90s. Now, my memory of the 90s was as a teenager. So the 90s were all about drugs and rage. So I don't think they can really say we're much better than the 80s.
Yeah,
that was worse. You know.
It wasn't worse than the 80s. I'm sorry.
I'm like, you know, it was constant raves all the time, as what I could remember. Obviously, I wasn't an adult in the 80s, so I have a slightly different memory than, you know, yourself, as where that goes. But I think like trying to portray women, and it was a 90s thing, trying to portray women if they're promiscuous or if they like different sexual things as psycho, dirty, disgusting. And then she was like the angelic, just had very vanilla sex, and, you know, this is what she is. I felt that was a trope. Wasn't it? Yeah, got to get married and have 2.4 children, and, you know, I'm so angelic and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like,
it's the virgin and whore trope, isn't it?
That's
so
the one.
One of them's the bad girl and one of them's the good girl, right? And and I saw the death of her sister very differently. I thought she killed her sister. That she drowned.
I wonder if she did.
Because she was saying that, you know, there's always one twin that's prettier, and I think that, to me, that she was actually responsible for the death of her sister, and that broke her mind. Broke her mind.
I did feel sorry for her, because I wonder whether she was treated differently by her family because her sister was the one that was better liked.
Yes,
you know, and although she, like not complete sympathy, because she's crazy, as you say, she's killed people, including her sister. But, you know, I wonder if that kind of played into it. And because of her narcissism, as you were saying, Josh, you know, she just couldn't cope. She had to wipe that sister out of the way. And then she's like, oh, no, but I need my sister. And so go get another one.
No, I agree. I did feel a little bit of sympathy towards her, just because I thought she obviously needed help. Which
she needed putting down, dear. That's what she needed.
And she did get put down.
Well.
Oh, did she though?
Oh no! Don't do that.
I mean, it was only a stab to the back. Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Stab to the back.
Not to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but, you know, you never saw the face of the person at the end,
that got stabbed in the back.
You never saw the person who was, and that could have easily been Hedra. I always used to think it was, because that would have been the perfect ending.
Josh, did you just say you want to see the coffin?
See the body.
You've got to confirm the kill.
See the coffin, or it didn't happen. That's it.
I always thought the ending was Hedra. I thought that was Hedra in the end, and that she actually, and that because then you have the split photograph, and then actually that's not Ali at all. That's Hedra pretending to be Ali.
Oh.
Yeah, it could be.
So that's how it ended in my head. I mean, that might not have been the actual thing, but to me, that's how it ended, because that would have been the perfect ending.
I'm going to go watch it again.
I know, now you've got me thinking now. So do you think that Ali made good decisions throughout the film? Like, was her decisions good? Because some of the times I was just like, what? Like, for example, she chooses to go through Hedra's stuff while she's in the shower, rather than waiting for her to go out of the apartment.
And go to work.
It's like, why? So that's just a silly one.
She does remember to put all of the paper back in the right order when she puts it back in the shoebox.
Yeah, she does actually.
You had that going for her.
But that's just a silly one. But do you think she made like good decisions, Sharon?
No. She didn't, did she?
decisions.
I mean, I think she tried, bless her, but I mean, how did she not know that bloke Mitch wasn't a creep? How did she not notice the way he was looking at her?
Yeah.
Why did she allow herself to be on her own? She must, I mean, that kind of thing, as you say, there was a certain naivety to her, innocence to her, which was intentional, I think. Do you know what I mean? But, and also, why did she take Idiot back? Oh, my Lord.
Oh, yeah,
Why
no.
did she take him back?
No.
We're
He
all
was a
in
wrong
agreement
gun.
there.
He
That
was
was
a
the
wrong gun,
problem.
wasn't
That was a
he?
real problem.
He was
Yeah.
a wrong
Yeah.
gun.
Yeah.
But
Drama
hang on,
from the
who?
beginning.
For years
Yeah.
if she hadn't taken him back.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
who
Yeah.
told her to? Excuse me, best friend.
Mm.
Excuse me.
Mm.
Bad advice.
Yeah.
Ram.
Yeah,
Not oh,
Graham, you did,
you've
didn't
got a
you?
magnificent library of books. Why would you tell her that when you've read all those books?
I was
You're
looking at
obviously
his
smart.
books.
I liked
Yeah,
Graham.
Yeah,
I thought
I
I'd like a
did.
neighbour with a whole apartment full of books and a cat. I thought that's me. That's actually Graham's me. Actually, if the part was being played, that would be me.
Definitely
You know
me.
what I mean? So yeah, I liked Graham a lot, but that was bad
yeah,
advice. And the
yeah,
listening through the grate thing was weird, wasn't it? That was
yeah.
spooky. I wasn't
I
sure
saw
about
Yeah.
him
that you
for a
could
bit.
use. I didn't think duct tape was a very good
The duct
muffling
tape,
device.
So use
yeah.
what you got.
Yeah.
It's like-
At least put a
well,
cushion
yeah.
in there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently in real life, the actor who played Graham, I think it is, he was allergic to cats. So
Oh.
that was quite
Oh.
Do you
interesting to have
know
to
who
have
that
the cat.
Oh,
is? Do you guys
Um,
watch Succession?
oh,
Yeah.
what is
Yeah,
it?
it's Frank in Succession.
oh,
Oh,
I've
yeah,
never
I
seen
can
that.
see it
I was
now.
like, why
Oh,
can I picture him as an
I
older
never,
man?
I
Oh,
ne
sorry.
oh, yeah, I never put that together. I can see it now, yeah.
I'm
Very
allergic to
good,
cats, and I've got
Josh.
3 of them.
I
So
do
there's
Rock
that.
like
and
his cat. It
roll.
looks like my cat.
It's
I
so
love
That's so
cute,
that.
and
I thought
the
sweet.
it
way he
looked
was
like
curled
Emma's
up on him in
cat.
the bath while he was
Oh, so
unconscious.
cute.
Yeah. Bless.
Oh.
Looking after
Waiting for him
his,
to die so he can eat him.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, he's got to eat.
He's got to eat.
That was my
Right?
favourite bit in the entire film was the cutting away to the bathroom to find that Frank, he's not called Frank, he's called George. He's been alive for like 3 days, and the cat's probably been sitting on him for 3 days to set up shop.
Oh
Oh
dear.
my God.
Talking about favourite moments then, what was your one or a couple of your favourite moments in the film, Josh? I'm
I mean, the
dying
cat bit.
to know
The
this
cat bit.
because
The
cat.
that was
Was
it, the
it?
cat. Oh, so
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wanted
it
to
was
see.
cute.
It
Oh,
made me
that was
laugh out
it.
loud.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
it
They
was cute.
do that,
Yeah,
the cats. They
they
will do that
do.
because I almost knocked myself out on a low beam. I don't know how.
what?
And I fell to the I lived in a house with really low beams, and I was walking along, and I just hit my head on it, and I fell to the floor. It winded me, like it knocked me down, and I was just lying there, like with my eyes closed, going, "Oh my God, I don't know what I've just done here." And the cat came and sat on top of me and stayed there until
Oh,
someone came to help. Yeah, my cat did.
Wow.
And
Kept
my
you
friends all
warm.
said it was just waiting for me to die so he could eat me.
You know,
So yeah,
tasty.
they do.
I'm disabled, and if I'm not well, if I'm having a really bad day, all the cats come on me. They'll all be
Oh,
around
they
me. Yeah, they
know.
know.
Yeah,
They're just keeping an eye on you. Occasionally, they'll bring
yeah.
me dead animals because they're worried I'm not eating, and it's cute, isn't it?
Oh,
Penny doesn't do
so
that.
cute.
Penny's like,
Oh.
you're ill, you're weak.
Penny,
That's how my cat
creature of
treats me.
darkness.
That finger looks a bit tasty, Daddy.
Starts licking your face while you're in the bath dying.
just tasting. Just have a little taste.
Yeah.
Josh wouldn't last for 3 days. One day and he's a goner. That's it. Oh dear. How about you, Emma? Did you have a favourite scene other than the cat scene?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the one that's always lived inside my head, and it is the stiletto. Bang, straight in the
Yes,
I
eye.
love
the
that.
stiletto. Oh, I'm really squeamish with eye stuff as well, so that was a bit like, but yeah, but
Ugh, gross.
I mean, what a scene! Like that
Oh my
scene
God.
is the whole thing is just like
Can I tell you a bit
Unreal.
of TMI background information to what happened behind the scenes?
Yes.
In that.
Oh yeah.
So
yes.
I discovered that Jennifer Jason Leigh is famous for like preparing massively for her roles, and so for this film, she wallpapered her dressing room with pictures of Bridget Fonda, like properly just went all over the dressing room,
Proper
covered in Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
And then for the scene, the rape scene, she sprayed a prop dildo with mint flavoring before every take, before she had to do the that scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is going the extra mile for your role,
know.
really, isn't it? Whoa.
Everyone was a
Emma's
bit
face is like,
shocked.
I'm really shocked.
That's proper method, you know.
That's pretty cool.
Method acting,
Actually, you know, why not?
that is like proper going like the extra mile, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm a
But
bit
she is
worried
quite
about her
known for
now.
that. Like, as you say, she's quite known for that in
Love
like
her.
other roles that she's done. Yeah, even though I keep calling her a different name. But yeah, she's known for that. But yeah, that whole scene and that stiletto and like, because there's just something like seductively, like, I don't know, I can't quite put my finger on it, by being killed by a stiletto.
That's why women wear them.
You said Solero then.
Yeah,
Stiletto.
That's a whole different thing.
Oh God. But yeah, it's just something. And then I loved the scene after that where the stiletto is like in the bathroom and with just that little pool of blood around it.
So good.
And it felt very what's that Italian director? Is it
Argento.
Yeah, I think that's who
Argento.
I mean. Yeah. Where he uses like the light and the I don't know, it just felt a little bit like that to me. And I love that scene. I did think the whole thing was like super cool.
And it's believable, isn't it? Because if you think about the one thing I don't like about some female characters in action scenes is that they almost seem to get some superhuman strength that a real woman wouldn't have. And I'm like, no, cunning, weapons that you can use, you know, using somebody's weight against them. And this was all very realistic. That stiletto was the correct way for her to fight him off. She'd have tried to battle him, wrestle him, or tried to punch him or kick him. That's not happening. He's going to just throw her down because she's quite a slight little thing. So I thought that was ace. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it was good as well.
How
about you, Sharon? Did you have a favourite scene?
I did enjoy the stiletto one. That's why women wear stilettos, isn't it? Not only they wouldn't wear them otherwise, they're too uncomfortable, but they're great weapons. I really loved these. I did love both of those with the cat and the stiletto. But I really did love the scene of the fight in the lift at the end as well.
Oh yeah.
Do you know, and when she strangled her, I thought that was really, really well done. I really enjoyed that. It was really quite intense, that scene, I thought. Must have been very intense for the two actresses when they were doing that in such an enclosed space. And then she just dragged her like a piece of meat out and just dumped her, and then covered her with a blanket because she felt a bit bad about it. And I love that. Yeah, there was some great scenes in this, I thought. So I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
It's like, when they were tipping out or coming off the top with whatever it was, a screwdriver or what, to stab her in the back. That was great. Who knew she was that athletic? I thought that was good.
I liked it as well at the end with the payoff with the screwdriver, because obviously that's emphasised at the start. Oh, we have to use the screwdriver in the lift. So I'm thinking, pay off there. I like it. And there's Josh just said about when she's being dragged and her head just goes.
I know, you're just like, she'd be dead, wouldn't she? If she hadn't been strangled, she'd have brain damage. Or she probably did. I mean, it's for that, like realistic deaths, obviously, but some of it was a bit kind of, they wouldn't survive that. That bloke would be dead in the bath after 3 days.
Yeah.
Wouldn't he? So I mean, it's just, but I did enjoy the
And it's like,
one.
would just thinking about the stiletto thing, and you were saying about you would be dead. Would you really die from a stiletto in the eye?
Yeah, because it would go through to your brain and it would kill you instantly. Yeah.
Okay, I wish you never asked that.
Yeah. Stuffed a knife in there, it would do it as well. So I think it's like the same thing, isn't it?
It's the same thing.
Like a blunt object.
It would go straight through to your brain.
Very long.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a great way to go.
Yeah.
If you're going to die, that's a good way to go. It's
Pretty
dramatic, isn't it?
quick,
Yeah. No, definitely.
Better than
And
being beaten to death with a golf club. That was a bit
Oh.
pathetic. And then dumped in a
Yeah.
bath. So, do you know what I
yeah,
mean? No, stiletto
yeah,
in the eye, it's done. You're done. You're dead.
yeah.
Done.
I found it
um,
really interesting how George was the one who had the reinforced bar on his
yeah,
door,
And she
yeah.
and it was
could get
like,
in.
yeah. Yeah. But I wondered if that was like a comment about him being a gay man living on his own. You know, he needed to
Mm,
Yeah.
have that special protection,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she didn't have the bar. You
mm.
know, so
No,
potentially,
it's
Yeah,
interesting
that's
that she
true.
didn't.
But New
Yeah,
York,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
that is
New
she was
York,
true.
living with him, though, wasn't she? She was living with
Mm,
him, so I guess that
mm.
does that lull you into a false sense of security when you get your flatmate through that it's the same
Mm,
thing? She'd be better
mm.
off with Hetty because Hetty would kill anyone that coming through the door rather than Sam. My bet's on her.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Sam would be just
But
like,
yeah,
get into
that's
bed.
a good point, Josh. That
Mm,
makes sense.
And
Yeah.
also,
yeah, it
it's
does.
like it was a very homophobic time in the early 90s. It was worse than
Mm,
the 80s,
mm,
actually.
Yeah.
Post
For
AIDS.
yeah, it was very much so. People were very
yeah.
afraid, especially of gay men,
Mm,
very much so. So
mm.
yeah, that would be a good political point to make, wouldn't it? I think so.
Yeah, that's
About the time.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I also liked with the end as well that, you know, a few scenes before, Ali turns up the volume, doesn't she, on the TV and the music, and obviously the apartment manager comes with the security, but you can fire a gun down in the basement and no one comes to save you.
No,
I quite
no.
No
like
one goes
that.
down there at night.
It was
No,
silence
no one.
with the
No.
pillow, though. You know,
Well,
Yeah.
the pillow was the silencer.
yeah, I guess.
Oh, we've all done that, haven't we? We've all thought, that's what I need, a pillow.
It doesn't make that much sound, Shell.
It's not that noisy.
I was just like,
It's not
oh.
like I go through his head and hit the concrete and cause a problem. No.
Oh dear.
I
There
wonder if
was
she
a...
found the bullet because she was downstairs. I wonder if the bullet actually went into her apartment, like through the
Oh
floor.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, see, and the apartment manager still didn't like
Yeah.
come. So
Sees it all the time.
He looked a bit weird though, didn't he? He was a bit creepy, the apartment man, wasn't he?
yeah, he was a little bit.
Mm.
Yeah, but you know they've got miraculous phones in this apartment building as well because when the phone gets pulled out of the socket,
It still
it's
works.
Ali, it's still like the dial tone. I was like, oh, that's clever for the 90s.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just noticed that and I thought, wait, it's still got a dial tone and you've just ripped it out of the wall. Very clever.
Bad continuity there, I feel.
Yeah. So the film once appeared on like a list of most scary films. I think it was like number 50 or 54 or something. So do you agree with this? Was it scary? Emma?
Yeah. And the reason I think it is because, like the Scream #1 Scream movie, the call's coming from inside the house. That's why it's scary, because it's somebody you've let into your house and trusted. Yeah, and then you're starting to get these feelings like, I don't know about this. You know, she's doing something weird, and you're not you're trying to give someone the benefit of the doubt because she's so sweet and lovely. Yeah, you've let the snake in, unfortunately. Yeah, and that is your biggest fear, isn't it? Letting someone through the front door who could do you harm.
Yeah, and it's like what when we were talking about Hand That Rocks the Cradle, like the same thing. You know her intent from the start, and you know that person's let that person in the house. So that is quite sinister and scary. How about you, Josh? Do you think it should have been on that list? Is it scary?
Yeah, I suppose it kind of stops being scary when it gets silly. But yeah, like the moment when she tells George that she can go back to the apartment and she'll be fine, that's when I was like, I really don't think that's a very good idea. That's
another bad decision.
Bad decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was creepy, and yeah, that idea of the call coming from inside the house, that is scary. And that's why the idea itself is so potent. You know, it's like the roommate from hell, you're trapped in there with them. And I've had a few of those, and it is horrible when you're stuck in a house with them.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I do get that, but not like that crazy.
Thanks for
They do
clarifying that,
tell.
lovey.
So yeah, it's I don't know if
Did they
I
copy
don't know
your
if it holds up in
hairstyle, Josh?
everything, wardrobe, yeah, all of it, yeah. Call themselves squash, you know. Yeah.
Oh dear, oh bless you. Sharon, what did you think that it was scary?
Wasn't scary for me, but I could understand why it was unnerving
Mm,
because it could actually happen. And a lot of those films
Yeah.
in the 90s were films that could actually happen.
yeah.
You know, home invasion, somebody living with you who's actually the enemy. Do you know, these things could actually happen. They're realistic as opposed to a lot of, as you say, like at the end of it, when he turned into a slasher film, which is basically what it was, then it
Yeah.
became a little bit less scary and a little bit more B-movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was unnerving. I think it was psychological thriller to me rather than
Yeah.
a horror. Yeah, it is unnerving because it could happen.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
very frightening at the time. A lot of people were
Yeah.
really terrified of it.
Yeah.
Well, because like
Oh,
surely in America, like in big cities, you do have roommates. You have
You
to
have
live with other
to.
people.
yeah.
So I can
Yeah,
see why that would unnerve
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
absolutely. It's kind of on that babysitter trope, isn't it? Picking up the
Mm,
phone and somebody's in the house. It's playing on that like Halloween did,
mm,
you know, and
mm,
it's kind of the child of Halloween, isn't it?
yeah.
But made it more psychological thriller.
Mm,
But
yeah.
yeah.
I think for me, because I saw it so young, and like I'm surprised that I haven't turned into a psychopath myself
Oh, I'm a
from watching
psychopath.
all these.
We all should be.
I know, but like I think watching it so young, I think I do remember. I don't ever remember feeling scared by it, but I always remember thinking, "Oh gosh, this is going to happen when I'm an adult or something," you know.
Like that, isn't it?
Like this is like one eye over my shoulder all the time. But yeah, I don't think it
Yeah.
was like scary as you say. I think it's scary as in the thought of that could happen, and it's
Yeah.
real. It could be real, but yeah, it didn't have enough blood for me.
It was not me, but it was a scary idea for a lot of people who were in their 20s
Yeah.
living with
Oh
people
gosh.
in an
Yeah.
apartment and somebody they
Yeah.
just had on. You know, as
Oh
a child, you
yeah.
wouldn't really know that. But you
No.
know, I was rooming. I had roommates
Oh
at that
gosh.
time. I mean,
Yeah.
they wouldn't have scared me because I think I was probably the scariest. But you know, I mean, it was unnerving for people. You know, because a lot of people didn't know their roommates
Yeah.
intimately. They were literally just sharing rent because it was too
Yeah.
expensive. So, but yeah.
No.
Yeah,
I
so
can
like
imagine
things
if I
that
was a bit
the
older,
things that
like
Hetty
it would have scared me.
does would plant little seeds of
Yeah,
doubt in your mind as
yeah,
well. You know, there's like
yeah.
she wears the same belt, or she starts making breakfast for you. You know, you start to
Mm.
really worry about your
You'd be
She was
like,
well-being.
very good.
Why are you
She'd
making
obviously done
breakfast
it
for me?
before. She was very good,
Oh
wasn't she,
yeah.
at the manipulation?
yeah, yeah, oh yeah. Imagine. I want to know, like, I want like a backstory, like a proper like prequel, just to see what she'd done before. That would have been
That'd be
Or
interesting.
good.
after,
Mm.
as we've said, or
Well,
after.
or
Mm.
after. Mm.
Yeah.
So yeah, so what do you, if obviously it plays into someone stealing your identity, so a bit of a fun question. So if someone was to take over your identity, what would they discover? Sharon?
In the
Go
90s,
on,
they
Sharon.
wouldn't. If they tried to do it in the 90s, they wouldn't have got close enough to me. But now, somebody asked me this. This is a funny question. Somebody said to me, if you were talking about demon possession, going off subject of it. Sorry, I'll come back. There's
Are you
Demon
possessed?
possession. Let me
there's
find
a
out about you.
there's a reason. We're talking about possession because my favourite genre in books is horror. So that's what I specialise in. That's what I review mainly. And they said, if a demon possessed you, do you think they'd enjoy it? And I went, no, they'd just walk in and go, oh my God, why does everything hurt? And they'd leave. And I think they find my life really boring. So I don't think anybody would try and steal my identity now. I think it
Oh,
would be really boring for them.
Oh, no,
Not in the
I do, because I want pink
90s.
hair.
In the 90s, not so much. But, you know, I'm a middle-aged woman now, you know. Perhaps I'm more lethal now than I was then. But no, I've never, no, I don't think anybody would. I don't think
Okay.
they'd be able to get close enough to me to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. What about you, Emma? Like, what would they discover if someone stole your identity?
Oh, no comment, no. I have had people actually mimic my life and tell stories from my life and pass it off as their own. So I do absolutely know what that feels like. And you know, like I went away traveling and then came back and found that one of my friends had almost assumed my identity and had told everybody all these stories and said it was them. And I was like, that didn't happen to them. And they're like, what? I'm like, that was me. So I was just like really shocked. Yeah, so people have tried to do it quite well, or push me out of something to try and center themselves and you know, try and do, and they do everything that you're doing and behave like you're behaving, and they do, and then you're like, what are you doing? So yeah, I have had some experience of that, and it is quite creepy and unnerving. It's like, ooh, get away from me. You know,
it's kind of like a twisted compliment, isn't it? Because their life must be boring, but at the same time, that it's really unsettling that they would do that. Yeah, it's a strange, twisted kind of. Well, your life's better than mine, so I'm going to pretend to be you. I mean, it is. Weird.
Exactly that. But I think nowadays, this was back when I was younger, like in my 20s. I think nowadays, my life's so hectic. I've got 3 teenage girls. You know, I work, I write, I do all sorts. So do this with you guys. So I think people would be like, I'm knackered, I'm not doing it.
Nobody wants to take on 3 teenage girls. Do they teenage anything? No, they'll have your life for 10 minutes to give it you back.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that, Emma. How about you, Josh? What would they discover other than Penny?
Well, I was going to say that's pretty much it. They would basically discover that I live my life in perpetual fear that I'm going to be attacked at any moment. You know,
that you're going to end up in a bath
any second
with a cat.
I could have a black shape launching itself at me and sinking its teeth into me.
I'm assuming this is a cat and not your partner. I mean, I'm just asking.
Yeah, cats.
No judgment, Josh.
It's both of them. Can't get a break.
Oh, God.
What about you, Shelley?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, dear. All they would discover is that I'm like really an old woman with my blanket and my book and my hot chocolate. And that's it.
My blanket!
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is it. And my point horror, and I'm just happy, you know.
Look at us. I'm trying to hide you below the camera, but it's true.
Mine's over there.
It's on my lap.
I did have a blanket. I did have one, but I threw it off just before the live because I went hot and I thought I'm going to look sweaty. So it literally is just literally behind me.
I've wore 3 jumpers today. I had my hoodie on this morning because it was cold. Then I went to a lighter jumper because it got hot here because I'm in Devon. So it got really warm this afternoon, and now it's cold. It's kind of cold, so I've got 3 jumpers. I just alternate through the day.
That's what I mean. That's
brilliant.
That's all people would learn about me, is that I'm like, a little hermit with my blanket, and that's all I need in life: blanket, book, hot chocolate, snacks. I'm good.
I'm the same, to be fair. I'm the same.
Blanket,
I'm also an accountant,
bed.
and nobody likes accountants.
No. I like accountants. They do all the stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah. Or can't
do. I just work, read, and sleep. That's pretty much it.
Sounds good to me.
That.
Simple life.
That sounds good. Yeah. So just a question to finish off then. So what do you think we should all learn from this film, Josh?
Live alone.
What lessons have we learned?
I love your cup.
Live alone.
You. You live alone?
Yeah.
Live alone.
Wait for it.
No roommate.
There's no risk in living alone, surely.
Call Graham upstairs.
Yeah. Or how about you, Emma? What have you learnt from this film?
Trust your gut. If you think something funny's going on, then trust it. So she was, you know, Ali was kind of realizing early on that, hey, this girl's a bit weird.
Yeah.
And so if you think they're weird, they probably are. So yeah, trust your gut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one. How about you, Sharon?
I agree. You should trust your feelings. And I think at some point when she knew that was happening, you know, she was the sleep Eddie. She could have just smacked her head in. So she should have done that like an hour into the film, and then it would have all been over. You know what I mean? Kill before being killed, innit?
Yeah.
And you should always wear stilettos if you're going around men.
That was straight men.
Just in case the weapon's needed.
Yeah, that was going to be mine. Always wear stilettos. That's what I've learned from this. They are a good weapon. Yeah. Watch out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I swear I watched another film recently where someone gets smacked on the side of the head with a stiletto.
It's a common one, isn't it? I think that was the first that did it, but it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
But it is a real thing because my nan smacked someone over the head with a stiletto. She took her stiletto off and smacked them because they, I think they might have tried to pull her skirt or look up her skirt or something. She didn't appreciate it, so she took her shoe off and whacked them over the head.
Yeah. See?
This is what we've all heard.
Yeah.
Belts are the same. Somebody tried to put their hand up my skirt once, and I took my belt off.
Yeah.
And smacked him around the head with it.
See, it's a thing.
That's also a great weapon.
Yeah.
Especially the end with the the metal on.
Cool. Yeah.
That's it. So belts and stilettos.
Always
and your car keys in your knuckles.
Car keys in your knuckles.
Yeah. This is what we've learned.
Yeah.
And always repair damaged windows as well. That's what we've learned from this as well.
Because of dead dogs. We don't want dead dogs.
Look after your pet.
Yes. Yeah. and just quickly, did you know there was actually a Single White Female 2 that was released in 2005, but it went direct to video?
Tells you all you need
and I don't think it follows any of the characters from the first one.
Yeah.
I think it's about Holly or something.
I've never
called Single White
seen
Female
that.
2, The Psycho, which just sums up how unsubtle it is.
Yeah, so
and
I think it's about...
also Single Black Female.
It's the same thing. It's
like a TV
premise.
movie. Very similar premise. It's like someone who starts a new job and someone comments on how similar they look, and then, you know, all goes crazy. It's got, she was in Glee. I forgot what her name is. Amber Riley?
Oh, I can see it.
Oh, Amber Riley.
I never watched Glee. I don't know.
Okay. I might check that out, actually, because I do quite like Amber Riley. And just see what that's like. Might give number 2 a miss. The Roommate. I haven't seen that either.
It looks dreadful.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing. You're trying to repeat that kind of thing. It's like it gets some original ideas. I could say that about a lot of Hollywood, to be fair. Get some original ideas. It's like I don't want to see something remade. No. You know, actually pay your writers properly, and we can have proper scripts. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Stop telling them what to write.
I would recommend Ingrid Goes West though, because that's more. It's not horror. It's more of like a satire. And it's Aubrey Plaza. She follows Elizabeth Olsen on Instagram. And she gets obsessed with her and tries to like take over her life. It's so good. I really recommend that.
Okay.
I love Aubrey. I think she's such a good
great.
actress. Because she already looks like a weirdo before she actually starts acting, doesn't she? She's brilliant.
Yeah.
Oh, I might have a look at that.
And I watched a film. It's not exactly in the same vein, but have you seen the film? I think it was called. I want to say it was called Missing. I think it was, and basically they use the social media and things like Searching.
That's
I
the
think
sequel.
It's called.
Missing is the second one.
So Searching is the one that I saw, and it's all to do with like social media and your imprint, like on the internet, and how you know you can be stalked or your identity stolen. But it's quite clever the way they do it. And it's got it was. I found it. I was gripped by it because I was just like, oh my gosh, this is actually really scary that someone can get into all these things. It was like...
Have you had that happen, Shelley? Have you had that happen to you?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I have.
Oh.
Someone pretended to be me and then sent my
yeah.
friends a
Yeah.
message asking them to pay. Said, "Can you please pay my bills?" Posing as me. And one of my friends went, "Why do you need help paying your bills on this second account that you've got?" And I was like, "It's not me.
No.
I'd never asked you to pay my bills."
It's scary though how easily it can be done, isn't it?
If you actually thought about it,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I grew up in a time where you didn't have internet, there wasn't computers when I was growing up. If you actually thought about it, you'd delete everything.
Yeah.
You'd have no presence around
Yeah,
because
you
you'd be
would.
too
You would
terrified.
delete it all. Yeah.
So
No,
the
that's
chance
true.
of it happening to you aggressively in like a single white female is minute, you know.
Yeah.
So you know, you can't live your life worrying about that kind of stuff, can you?
No, a couple of bots are not a problem, are they?
Exactly. You can get rid
Bots
of
that tell
them.
people you want the bills paid. How
Or
embarrassing.
Nigerian princes who need £1,000 to travel.
Yeah. Oh, but I'm so glad that we revisited this film. Like, I did really enjoy like watching the rewatch and with older eyes this time. So yeah, it was a good pick. I think Emma picked it. I think I can't remember.
Might have mentioned it.
We talk about a lot of films, don't we? And then we just end up just picking one. But yeah, no, good choice. I liked it, and I hope you guys. Yeah, did you have a good time with it?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, and thanks for being our special guest, Sharon. So
It's lovely to speak to you all.
Do check out Sharon's account. Like, she does fantastic book reviews. You've started a YouTube channel now.
I was terrified,
Sharon.
but the camera's the wrong way around. It took me ages to get used to that. I was like, where am I looking? Where am I looking? But it just allows me to natter more than TikTok. I started on TikTok, and it just allows me to natter more, which is basically what I do.
Oh, and I always love when Sharon does like little check-ins on the weekend and stuff, and I always feel like really cozy. I'm like, oh, Sharon's checking in on us. I love it. It's brilliant. So do check out.
I don't leave the house.
Channel.
You see, I have to talk to somebody.
And check out Josh's The Shadow Glass and Burn the Negative.
I've got Burn the Negative on my TBR.
Oh,
it's good. Read it.
Yeah, and then obviously
I'll get there.
I'll get there.
This is my TBR. So yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, I know that.
Mine's much the same.
Very, very well.
We'll talk about it in 10 years.
And do check out, Emma's got some short stories in these. Look at that cover, it's amazing. I love it.
Oh, I like that.
So yeah, I think you'd like these, Sharon. So
are they
check
them
out.
Are they just to people die horrifically? Because that's my thing, you know.
Yeah. So,
they do.
So yeah, do check those out as well, because they're brilliant and perfect for like this time of year as well. Definitely.
Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you guys. Halloween next month.
Halloween. What you watching next? What you watching next month?
Oh, I don't know. We haven't picked yet, but I think we are going to try and dress up as well next time.
You've got to do a horror, haven't you? You've got to do a proper horror for Halloween.
Yeah. Well, last year we did Hocus Pocus too. We dressed up as the witches. That was amazing. Yeah, that was just fun, like a fun dress up.
Fluke that we all dressed up as someone different? Or do we,
I think we was going round like picking, and we all just picked like all the different witches, and then Kat was like the Mother Witch, the Grand Witch, the Mother Witch.
I always dress up for Halloween. It's good fun, isn't it? It's good fun. I love Halloween.
So we'll have to pick a film and then work out what we're going to dress up as. All right, thanks guys.
Thanks everyone. Thanks everybody in the chat. Take care.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.